Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Ripple's on-demand liquidity indices hit by XRP's inaction. Well, that's a scary sounding title. What are we going to do? Is the sky falling? Wait till you see these horrendous looking charts. Well, if you've been following what's been developing within the XRP ecosystem, then these charts should not surprise you, so I'm going to share with you the specifics. I'm going to explain why they happened and what the solution in theory should be to this. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button, and also if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP, gosh darn it, you are one of the cool kids. Now, since I complimented you, you should return the favor by subscribing to the Moon Lambo channel. And if you don't, I think you're a rat bastard because I was really kind right there. All right, let's dive in now. Ripple's on-demand liquidity platforms have been one of the most attractive products in the industry, with these platforms noting significant expansion across corridors to facilitate fast and cheap payments. While the growth of on-demand liquidity across all corridors was tremendous as the crypto market swiftly recuperated from its crash back in March, these platforms have been noting quite a slump of late. Fair enough, and so I'll scroll down so you can see the most recent chart, and it looks like XRP just died. Right? If you go down to here, that's the lowest level we've seen on quite some time for the liquidity index. And then you can go back to, here we go. So here's where the pandemic, people were freaking out about this little dip right here. And then I was like, well, look, I don't know when things are going to come back. That's what I said when this happened because there's a bunch of unknowns thanks to the pandemic. It actually came back quicker than perhaps I would have guessed. But turns out people need to continue engaging in remittances. XRP liquidity rose and XRP continued to be used. Well, because it has utility. And so you can see it went up, and it's always this up and down, back and forth here, and then it went down a bit again, and then way, way, way up, and it was fun to report on this, but now way, way, way down. What is going? Why did the XRP liquidity here in the XRP/MXN corridor just fall off a cliff figuratively? See, most people would have said literally. I said figuratively, which is the right thing to say. That's another reason to subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel right there. Look at this. Awesome reporting on Moon Lambo's part. Now, according to data released by Liquidity Index Bot, the liquidity index for Bitso XRP/MXN, which is one of the most active corridors, has fallen to one of its lowest figures with just 3.328 million on June 22nd. This figure was even lower than the ones noted immediately after the March 12th Black Thursday crash. Yep, which I just highlighted. Interestingly, the liquidity of XRP had reached a new record in the payment corridor to Mexico for Bitso, XRP/MXN, when it reached an all-time high of 37.35 million in the second week of June. Oh my, how things fall quickly. So 37.3 down to 3.3. Yeah, admittedly, that's quite notable. Other corridors, such as the Australian payment corridor, XRP/AUD, also fell close to the mid-March levels. At the time of writing, the liquidity index for the BTC markets, which is XRP/AUD, Australian dollar, stood at a low of 2.25 million on June 22nd. The Philippines, too, which also happens to be a very crucial Ripple corridor, noted low liquidity. The liquidity index for coins.ph, so that's the XRP/PHP pair right there, stood at 1.855 million on the same day. So how is this possible if XRP is legitimately useful? If this is going to replace Nostro Vostro accounts the world over, what the hell is going on? I'll get to it. Just hold on. Just sit tight there, my friend. Now, this could essentially be due to XRP's inaction. Now, of course, they don't explain in this article. I'm just going to be front with you. I just wanted to share that this is okay. So this article is good for data. They don't have anything insightful to say beyond just sharing the data. But here's what they wrote: this could essentially be due to XRP's inaction, as a result of which XRP slid to the 4th position on the cryptocurrency charts. See, what does that even mean? XRP's in action, what are they functionally talking about? I mean, yeah, we know it's not, there's not liquidity because there's, on-demand liquidity demand is obviously decreased. But anyway, the coin has been struggling below the crucial 20-cent level resistance for a while now, which doesn't necessarily, by the way, have to have anything to do with price. It doesn't have to. Now, of course, if there's a lot of liquidity and volume around a particular asset, not just in crypto, obviously that can spur interest in it and result in price rallies. That's humans behave like that because humans are freaking weird. But it doesn't necessarily have to happen. So subsequent pullbacks over the last 2 weeks have further added to its woes. So what happened? Well, do you guys remember this piece? This was written by Ripple executive Ashish Burley. He's a senior vice president at Ripple, one of the original Ripple employees from close to a decade ago. And he wrote this piece titled, Staying the Course in Remittances and SME Payments. And part of what he wrote here lit the XRP community on fire. People were just losing their ever-loving minds. Like, people just you could walk outside and I'm telling you, like, people had their panties in a bunch, like, absolutely. Like, you could walk outside and see this, like, people is, like, all ruffled up around, like, where the belt line would be right there around the waist. Like, panties were done bunched up. Not a good time for individual humans that wear panties. Definitely a tough time for panty wearers. And so, what happened? What resulted in all this bunching of panties? Well, I did not take it the way some of the people in the community did. And if you took it this way, it's like not some harsh critique against you, but I absolutely did not have a problem with this. So what was it? Let me scroll to the appropriate point. I think it was here. Where? Oh, come on, I had it earlier. Sorry, guys. Just bear with me once. Oh, here we go. Okay. So while the world changes around us, Ripple is staying the course. We are continuing to focus on supporting low-value, high-frequency payments with on-demand liquidity, though transaction volume may look different in this new world. By the way, I should say the date. So this was written on June 8th of this year, 2020. All right. Then it continues here. In particular, and this is the part that really just made people lose their ever-loving mind here. In particular, we are reducing emphasis on large treasury payments, which are traditionally used to fund businesses and services in the absence of real-time transfers to support individual low-value transactions, addressing the growing need in remittances and SME payments, which would be small, medium enterprise payments. This may reduce overall on-demand liquidity transaction volumes. Now, I read that, and I thought, okay, cool. So Ripple acknowledged that there's a way that they can conduct business in a better fashion for whatever the internal reasons are that are not cited in this particular article. They found something, and they thought, okay, it's time to pivot. It's time to make a little change here. This is normal in business. You should be more concerned if they recognized the problem and didn't do anything. At least they had the decency to warn people that there was going to be a change here because they knew it would show in charts here. So this should not be surprising, the fact that this happened. And I'm a business owner myself, and I had to completely change my business model like 3 years after launching my company, and I've been in business 10.5 years now. But things change, It's changing course does not mean that you're doing something wrong. It means that you're doing something right, likely. At least you're aware of a problem here. So the people that just flipped out over this, I'm sorry. Nothing against you, and I know that some of you are listening to this. It's just like, ooh, Fraba, like, chill out, bro. It's going to be okay. Moon Lambo's promising you. Excuse me. I started laughing and it turned into a cough. That was a fun transition. All right, so what's going on here? Well, XRP community member Galgatron has some insight on this, and I think you're going to appreciate this, so check this out. And he wrote the following: Before people lose their minds, remember that Ashish Burla told us they were going to stop with the on-demand liquidity batch payments and push towards individual remittance payments. Looks like MoneyGram has stopped batching, and we hope they can wire in remittance-level payments in the future. And here, in case you want to see it, here's a chart that he had associated with this. You can pause if you want to look at it longer. Somebody named Idris N wrote the following in response to that tweet. Now the real question is, why stopping the batch payments while it was doing all-time high after all-time high in a short period of time, and while the volume was increasing in all corridors? It doesn't make any sense. And Galgatron responded, it does though. It doesn't help Ripple prove out on-demand liquidity to other companies if MoneyGram is just doing batch payments all day long. Somebody named Frogglblocks responded and wrote, I still don't see the logic for why Ripple could let me restart that. I still don't see the logic for why Ripple going cold turkey on batched payments is preferable to them simply capping batched payments and saying, well, if you want to do more, you need to use it for direct remittances. To which Galgatron responded, if MoneyGram used on-demand liquidity for remittances, they wouldn't need batch treasury payments. It's one or the other. If what we're seeing is truly MoneyGram halting batch payments, then it's likely they're transitioning to pure remittance payments. Otherwise, why stop batches? So, and this is why it's just worth taking a calm, measured approach. So if we're seeing them stop that, it has to be one or the other, and we see that the batch payments go down, unless you think that MoneyGram's not going to resume activity here. Again, we're assuming that it's them, and it's pretty reasonable to speculate that from my perspective. Unless you believe that that's not going to come back, even though MoneyGram is in a contract with Ripple, and they're a customer. Do you not think that's going to come back? Me thinks it will. So let's watch. Let's sit here and watch. I mean, I have a crystal ball, but it's broken, so I can't tell you for sure technically. I'm just saying. I suspect that in the future we'll be reporting that it comes blazing back, however long it takes. I don't know the timeline, but it's not like the liquidity necessary to make all of these transactions happen is just going to be gone forever. It doesn't make any damn sense. There's real world utility to be had. So people, just do your best to unbunch your panties if they are currently bunched. Be a normal wearer of panties. That's my friendly Moon Lambo advice. But that is it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.